Let's get to it, Spike. Here
Let's
we
get to
are.
it.
Just press play, man. We back at it. Another episode of Another Week in the Books. We definitely appreciate everyone for tuning in. Thank you for joining us. We are recording this on Halloween 2024. I'm your host, Kyron, obviously joined by the incredible, the incomparable Spike Lou.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I just mentioned we just had a brief conversation about Halloween, and are you? I'm curious to know: are you a Halloween nigga?
You know, that rich you. I ain't handing out no candy. I ain't putting on no I ain't putting on no costume. I don't think I had a Halloween like legit dressed up for Halloween since I was like 9 years old. I was so roguish, bro. We used to go out, like I would have my little cousins and shit with me. We'll case like the whole neighborhood, like even beyond. A nigga just throw a fucking whatever over your face and I'm a ghost. That was from 10 on up just to get the candy. I ain't had a legit Halloween costume. I know since I was at least 9 years old. What about you?
The candy. Come on, man. Once again, if you know your answer, then you know my answer. I can't even tell you the last time I dressed up. The last time one of my homegirls, me and Rachel both know her. Her birthday's around this time of the year. And she had a Halloween party maybe 4 or 5 years ago when I literally, man, everybody had their outfits. I went to the Halloween store last minute and just bought a Jason mask, like a little hockey mask. So I just wore that. That was it. Like, I'm not painting my face. I'm not buying no outfit. I'm not putting on no orange. Like that's just not
blood on. I ain't doing none of that. I will say this. I do respect the people that do it, that have thought, and you'll see a Halloween costume and because it's a meme or something. I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. I just couldn't see myself giving it that much thought. Like, as I did it, I would want it to be creative. I just can't see myself doing it. I did one year. I did a situation like what you said. It makes me remember. It was a Halloween party. I went to Hustler Hollywood and bought one of those little like worker shirts with mechanic, and one side it had male escort service, like you had a name tags on there, like the car mechanics. And one side, you know what I'm talking about? The Dickie, like the Dickie shirts.
Okay, then yeah.
And it had like if you working in like a garage or something,
the Michael Ealy Reasonable Doubt shirt.
That exactly that one right there. And on one side it said male escort service, and the other side it said dick. And that was like the most that I ever did. And I got that from Hustler Hollywood. So that's the last time I remember buying something for it. But I ain't into the festivities. Do you have a favorite holiday?
Thanksgiving,
like Christmas. One that you prefer? Thanksgiving and Christmas. Thanksgiving around my birthday means family and stuff. So yeah, I appreciate that one. Like Christmas, of course, when you can be with family, or you traveling. Traveling for Christmas is the best thing for me since I got old.
And I think part of it is like Christmas. Obviously, is a lot of nostalgia there, but it's also just as an adult, just time to unwind. Like things are just slowing down, getting ready for the new year, planning all your goals out. It's just like the hustle and bustle feels like it's over. You know, it's just a cool time of the year. So I always enjoyed that. And of course, Thanksgiving, like you said, being with the family, eating good, all of that. You can never put a price tag on that. As far as the Halloween stuff goes, I'm scrolling through Instagram and I see a lot of creative stuff, and I salute the people out there. I'm just like, I just know.
I ain't hating.
Yeah, I'm about to say not at all. I'm not doing it. I can't do it, man. And I never feel any kind of guilt about. Some people feel that awkward guilt about being the person at the Halloween party who ain't dressed. I don't care nothing about that.
Do not give two fucks, bro. I could care less how you feel about that.
Don't care nothing about that.
I was out of town this last weekend. They dressed up for at Dead End. They dressed up for the Mike Salon. I would have been so out because I did not have. I was not and did not have a costume.
I will say this. And this is I don't know who I think I am, but it's like almost like the lead singer. Like I need final approval. If there was a group thing, right? If it was one of those situations where all of us at work gonna do it, or the work don't really count. I don't care. I'm still not doing it. But if there's some kind of situation where, let's say Culture Garden, right? Nigga said we want to dress up for the episode. I'm like, all right, then.
Agreed.
What is it and what's the theme? Like, you got to pick it for me and I got to approve. And it's really like fucked up because I'm making you do the work of choosing what we're going to do.
Facts.
And if I don't like it, I'm going to say nah. But that's just kind of how I look at it.
If it's something easy enough for me to pull off, then of course I'll do it. But not because I'm a team player. But if not, I'm good. I'm straight.
And it's got to be a live outfit because I don't want to be the dude that's got to explain every time or got to have a prop with me for you to understand who I am and what I'm doing.
What it is.
I'm not,
like some
because I don't like
random
this
ass
enough
meme.
anyway. Yeah,
Right, exactly. I participate.
You said something. Go ahead.
I was going to just say something about some breaking news that we could talk about a little bit. But you had something.
Real quick before you do, I'm just curious because I want to get people's opinion on this. You mentioned that people were talking about Halloween parties this weekend, which obviously we know Friday. The time this episode drops is going to be November 1st. And, people skipping right over Thanksgiving. They putting their Christmas hats on, playing Mariah. The disrespect on Thanksgiving is crazy, but that's another topic for another day. But is that weird to you? Is that like having Halloween parties in November? Is that not odd? Is that am I the last one to know that's a thing?
Now it definitely comes off as odd to me, but again, me and you don't really participate in it. I feel like people want to get it in either way they can. So you get the people last weekend who did it, who may have time, and then you get the people this weekend who was like, damn, I didn't get to do it last weekend. I was working or had the kids or whatever it may be. So they try to put it off a week. It really amazes me how I didn't think it this way when I was a kid. Maybe I just didn't see it. But I'm shocked at how many adults like celebrate Halloween. It's like it had a resurgence here in the last 5 to 10 years with just people with the costumes and the parties, or maybe I just wasn't tapped all the way in. But I'm surprised at how many adults are like, "Oh, Halloween's my favorite holiday." Like, what? How is that possible?
People love Halloween, man. So in between, people love it. I just never understood.
I don't even like scary movies, nigga.
I never understood the idea of wanting to be scared for fun. That just never registered with me.
I don't go to
I know people
houses,
get it. I know
it's none of that shit.
Man, listen, I went to two haunted house. I went to a haunted house when I was 5, and then I dated a girl years ago who was on some, and I had to let her know like how big of a deal this was. I just want you to know this is important. You're important to me because I'm going to a haunted house, and this is something I do not do, and I ain't been since. So yeah, all of that's deaded. But you say you had some breaking news.
There's no reason. Yeah, just for the haunted house to wrap it up. There's no reason to do that. I know, or y'all bet not touch me. Like you can't really put your hands on me. So the fake fear and jump, I don't like jump out. Like even if I do watch a scary movie, the loud noise, like jump thing that they try to make you do, like I'm not a fan of that. So if we in real life and you jumping out with the chainsaw, it's like, bro, come on, man. Then people, if you go, like you said, you go with a chick, she grabbing on you, pulling you and shit. Like, nah, I'm good. Shoes get fucked up because you got to go outside.
Actually, before you get into the breaking news, I do want to ask you, I know you've been traveling the past 2 weekends. How was the time? You were in Louisville this past weekend and you were in Nashville the week before, or is it flip-flop?
Switched, flip-flop.
Okay,
I was in Louisville.
You were in Louisville and then in Nashville.
And then in Nashville. When I was in Louisville, I went to soccer games both times. Found out recently I had a cousin that's on the U.S. national team. Sophie Smith is her name. Y'all want to go check her out. So last weekend in Nashville, weekend before in Louisville, she was playing on her club team. Went to go see it up there. Went to go chill and watch. Was it the Miami? Whatever game was on that night, I went to go watch that after the game. Who was that playing? I mean, it might have been an Ohio State game, but that's neither here nor there. Louisville was a cool spot. I chilled in their downtown for a minute. Cool little laid back city. I didn't really do too much. Then the next weekend, I went home, got to see the family in Nashville. We went to the soccer stadium there. It was the U.S. national team actually playing this time. So we threw a party up at my mom's husband's restaurant in the back room back there. She came up there, hollered at people, took pictures. You know those cousins that you don't really see all the time, but like you're familiar with them. You didn't really grow up. It's slick like the other side of the family. Well, I be forgetting how ratchet they are sometimes. Well, you get with your main, like when you with your family, you get with the little clique that you know what I'm saying. So it was about 25 of us up there, and it's me and my like main first cousin, me, her, and we was just like, boy, the way that they were acting once they found out that Sophie was her cousin and the pictures and what they was trying to do, it was mind blowing to me, bro. It was mind blowing how like niggerish they was acting. But I like, that's my family. Those are the last names. And then at the game, it it was cold after the game. She stopped through. She hollered at everybody. Got to go down on the field or close to the field and shit. She signed some shirts and stuff for people. So it was a really dope experience, man. When people have your last name and your family tree and they out doing big stuff, you feel proud. So I did feel proud, even though I really don't know her. I got to meet her dad though, who's real cool. He lives in Denver. He and I got to chop it up a lot. So I'm scheduled something to go out and play golf with him in Denver. Of course, when the weather turned, I ain't going out there.
Hit me up.
But
hit me up.
Denver, okay, perfect. We can hit Denver. We're gonna go play golf, chill. He said he'll show me around the city or whatnot. But yeah, he and I got to chop it up a lot, man. So that was really cool meeting him more so. So because he about my age, but he a little bit older than me. But yeah, it was fun times, man. I always enjoy being home. Trying to figure out the next time I'll make it for the holidays. But shout out to everybody I got to see. Shout out Makeshift. If you're ever in Nashville, you're looking for somewhere to go to my guy spot at Makeshift, best tequila bar in Nashville. He's gonna take care of you. They got the best smash burgers in the city. Oxtail smash burgers. Fire.
Oh shit.
So man, bro.
Oh shit. I might take a trip to
I
was the Bengals play.
You gotta make sure they serve them because it ain't when they play Tennessee. Make sure they serve them. Let me know when you go and when they on the menu because it's a special item, but they get it.
Well, fuck the Bengals right now, so I'm not traveling for anything. So, but I'm upset. I've never been to Nashville, and it's a 4-hour drive from Cincinnati. I'm upset. I never made that trip. I remember when you wore the tequila bar hat, and I was like, man, I want to go down there and just check it out and just just cruise around Nashville. I'm gonna do it one day.
You fuck with the city. When you go, let me know. I'll meet you there because you would definitely fuck with the city. Nashville. People always tell me Cincinnati and Nashville are like cousins.
Okay.
Cincinnati and Dallas are the cities that I hear are like real similar to Nashville as far as like culture and just how the black people and the white people interact with each other. It's just like I've heard it's very similar.
Okay, then, baby. I like Dallas a lot. Like I said, never been to Nashville, so I got to check that out. And you just said something else too that I was going to mention. I can't recall. Either way, if it comes back to me, it will. My week, man, I had a good week. I had a good weekend.
Good.
I went back to Cincinnati this past weekend to take moms to a game because I got season tickets for those who don't know. And I try to make as many games as possible. Like I said, I've accepted the fact this past week that the Bengals just aren't a good team. And it is what it is. I ain't going to turn my back on them.
We both came to the realization this week. I still got the hat on, but it's like, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm not going to stop repping. I'm not going to stop doing that. But as far as having the emotional interest on Gridiron Jungle, shout out to Phil, man. I was just talking about that's cool when you're 21, 22. But when you grown and you got other stuff in life that can just naturally stress you out, like I don't need to add that kind of stress. Like I just come to terms with it. The quicker we can say this shit out loud, the better everyone will be.
It is what it is.
Bengals just aren't a good team right now. Like I'm rooting for them, like all of that. But I'm not. It is they've shown me who they are. At this point, it's on me. I'm crazy to think that they would turn anything around. But I say all that to say something else.
To hope for something else when you see it right there in your face, you're like, okay, I'm too old.
It's insane. And you just sit there looking at it like we got dog walked at the crib. You know what I'm saying? Like we made Jalen Hurts like Joe Montana in the 80s.
We got dog walked the last 4 times at the crib. Like I'm like, okay, bro. 4 times in a row.
What are we doing, man? And I'm sitting here making travel arrangements and plans. Like, I want to hit up this. I'm like, I ain't doing none of that. I'm saving that bread. But I took moms to the game, which was dope. And that was cool.
Nice.
Normally,
she a football fan?
Yeah, she's a football fan. She's a Bengals fan. And, preseason tickets, I won't go to them. So I'll give them to her or I'll give them to school or something like that. But this one, I'm like, nah, man, let me take moms to a regular season game. And I enjoyed my time with her. It was real fun. Unfortunately, we didn't get the win. But it was real cool, man, just spending time with moms. And I was very intentional. I've been very intentional about just asking her questions about herself. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I know we all get caught up with, especially when it comes to parents, you look at them as parents. I look at my mom as mom, and I'm like, hold on, man. Before I was even around, before my sister was around, there was a whole woman who had a life and still does. She still has a life. She's not just mom. She's a lot of things to a lot of people. And it's, just cool, like hearing about some of her childhood stuff and learning things about her that I never knew just because I never asked. And it was just good to have that moment. And it's going to go into the main theme of this episode that you wanted to talk about. But that was real cool. That was a highlight of my week. And also just doing a little bit. I was proud of myself, man. I was really proud of myself for doing things that I didn't want to do. And I mean that respectfully. So when I was driving back from Cincinnati, one of my group chats was on FaceTime, and they called me and looped me in. Usually my drive time, y'all. That's my podcast time. That's my music time and all that. But I'm like, you know what? I'm about to answer. And the plan was, let me answer, say what's up real quick. All right, y'all, I'm on the road. I'm going to holler. I ended up staying on there for about 45 minutes. And I felt good about it because I'm like, this is the stuff that we talk about here where, you know, that's the time. That's the moments. Like the opportunity is right there, man. What are you going to do with it? Reach out to some more friends that I ain't talked to in a while, just text them and reached out, just saying what's up, checking in. So I was proud of myself for that. I was proud of myself for actually connecting because it's so easy to get caught up in your own stuff and just we talk about it all the time, like I said.
Yeah, you made me remember when I went to I told the story on Another Week in the Books to tie this in. Like when I went to Nashville, I ran into a friend that I hadn't talked to in forever. Like this was the story I told on Another Week in the Books where we was hooping and one of my homies like swung on me. Like yeah. But I met with him this weekend, and that's something that I used to wouldn't have done. And like we had talked, we had been texting or whatnot. He had reached out to me, and it's been so long ago. Like who cares about it? But still, he was still apologetic about it to this day, and you know, just saying we need to reconnect and be homies, which I ain't opposed to because we was really good friends. It just, you know, time and stuff happens. You don't really talk as much no more. But he pulled up to makeshift. We chopped it up, hung out for like an hour or two. So it's like you said. Like it would have been a time like a motherfucker had told me like such and such looking for you, man. He just gave me his number to give you. I'm not calling him, bro. But I shot him a text. We been talking about football and shit going on the football season, and we finally got to meet up. So yeah, I was proud. That made me remember when you said that, doing stuff that we say on here. So that was one of the moments that I was proud of for myself this week of stepping outside the box and doing that, reconnecting with him. You know, so that was really cool. So we need to add this every week. When some shit we proud of each week.
Yeah, like proud of you. I'm proud of you for doing that, man. Because I know what it's like when you just. I've explained it before, and I know I can speak for you when I say it. It's not that we don't want to do it. It's more so just the time. You spend so much time doing stuff, and you on the go that free time, those moments we talked about it with Mo, those 20 minutes that you talked about, Spike, last week, that you need to just kind of breathe and just collect your thoughts and catch your breath. They're just so few and far between. So when you get them, you're not really trying to be bogged down with some shit. Are you thinking in your head? Normally, what I'm thinking in my head during those moments, man, I can't wait to go home. I can't wait to get out of here and just do my thing. But this time, I'm like, nah, I'm present. I'm actually here. Even with that phone call, I said it. All right, man. I was already planning how long I was going to be. How quick can I get off this phone? And I'm like, nah, man, let me chop it up. These are my peoples. Like, let me chop it up with them. Like, why are you doing that?
Bro, I say that every time I answer the phone. Like, okay, how long do I have to talk to this person? Even if I want to talk to him, it's still just like a thing that I got to get out of my head, man. So yeah, being more present. That's what they were talking about. The last chapter that I listened to, and we go get a sponsorship for this. But the monk who sold the Ferrari. Another thing, I got another one for this week too. Young cat. I don't know if I talked about this yesterday when we was talking, but it's a young cat that works for me. He's like 25, 26. He just released an album. Like some alternative, like pop type stuff. I'll send it to you if you're interested.
Okay.
But he's
in what you were talking about backdoors,
bedrooms.
Yeah, bedrooms. Yeah, you was talking about on deck.
So I'll send you the songs and shit. There's some real dope shit on there. And he was just telling me like his process and just same thing that I talk about. Being in corporate America was not being your passion and stuff. And I recommended Monk who sold a Ferrari to him because we was carpooling to a work function after work, and I was just telling him like what I was learning from the book, and he was so appreciative of it, man, because he was like, bro, I've never really, it's a white dude, he's like, I ain't never really had no conversation with you like this, and I appreciate, this is what he was saying to me, like, I appreciate you just taking the time out after I told you, some shit that I was going through and even making this suggestion, like, that means a lot to me because I wouldn't expect that from you, is what he said. And I was like, Brett, I'll be honest with you. If I hadn't been listening to this book, then I swear I wouldn't even, like, I would have let you tell me and be like, damn, that's crazy, bro. And we would have rolled damn near in silence and talked about sports or something. But it was what I was talking about with the book, and he asked about your purpose and things like that. And I said I had thought about that for like 3 days. Like, what is your purpose? And I even had a dream about that shit. And I was just explaining to him, like, part of me finding my purpose is, helping people, like trying to. That's what I do, podcasts and all of these things for. It's not necessarily saying that you have a conversation with me and it's gonna be this enlightenment that comes from me. Like, you may stumble upon it yourself when you're talking to me, and like, oh, I would have never thought of that had I not had this conversation. And just playing into my purpose, listening to that book, explaining to him how it affected me, and him being receptive of it, and even explaining like, damn, this ain't the usual like me and you conversation, and I appreciate you being vulnerable and telling me what the book meant to you. I'm definitely going to check it out now. So that meant a lot too. Like, that was one of those moments where it's like, okay, like they say in the book, if you lean towards your purpose and what you want to be in life, then the opportunity is going to present themselves. How many times are you going to do it though? And are you going to let that purpose be the thing that drives you? So that was a profound moment for me this week too. He reached out the next day and told me when he was starting it and shit.
I'm happy to hear that, man. And I hope it kickstarts just a natural. I hope it turns into, it goes from us thinking about it to just being a natural thing.
Just doing it.
Because there's so many people,
and that's what felt good about it. It came out naturally. Like, I'm gonna just, I'm just go for this and let him know what this, how cold this is. My bad.
No, you good, man. I just really, I love that, man, and I really hope that it becomes a thing, not just for you, but for me as well. Just continue to roll in that mode, to understand and have the emotional maturity to know, all right, I do need this time for myself. Like, I'm not trying to be distant, but I do need a day or two to reset and recharge, and I'm gonna get right back to it. Like I said, say yes to the things you normally say no to, and just see what else is out there, man. Because those are the best times usually, and you learn a lot about yourself and some other people. Even people that you know for a long time, or people you work with for a long time, and I think that's dope, man. So shout out to you for that. That's one thing I want to. Sometimes I follow some people that I just think are interesting. I just think they dope. Like, there's this woman that I follow, and she just lives a dope life, and I want to invite her on. Like, part of me is like, I almost DM'd her and was like, hey man, you want to come on the pod? Like, we don't even know each other. Like, not even a little bit. But I was literally just gonna say, man, I just want to let you know, do this podcast, man. And some of the moves you make and some of the things you do. If I do that, trust and believe, I already have a theme in my head of what that person would be good to talk about that would relate to what we do. And it was like, man, I'm gonna do that. And I was like, nah, I ain't gonna do that. Like, it's just random dude. And I thought about Mo. And I'm like, Mo never did that, then we wouldn't be here now. So it's like, you know what? I'm just gonna do that and see what happens from it. Worst case scenario, she's like, nah, I don't do podcasts, or I'm cool, or they could get out my DM. Like, all right, cool, that's cool. But at least I tried. And that's all that matters,
the part that counts.
Yeah,
the
results.
That's
the part that counts.
That's one of the things about being in sales that I had to learn. Like, the results aren't as important as the process. Because if you got your process on point, the results are gonna come. Like, that's inevitable. It's life. Like, it's gonna happen if you got the result, if you're doing the right things. But it ain't gonna happen every time. It ain't gonna happen most of the time, nigga. It might not even be sometimes. It may be one in the blue moon. But if you fall in love with the process and doing stuff like that, like you said, that's one of the things I'm trying to hammer home on just me in general and the person that I am. So
100%, I think that was man. Good, and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it in later weeks. But like I said, it's about to be November. Starting to write down some goals, some personal goals. Like, really write some shit down.
This year went?
It's
insane. How fast?
It's insane.
You and Mo had a phone call at the end of the year last year, December. That shit seemed like it was a month, 2 months ago, bro. Like, that's fucking crazy. Like, I remember the day, how it felt outside, and maybe because of how important and how good the call was. But we had a phone call. We usually we was leaving voice notes. It wasn't even a phone call, it was voice notes. I remember where I was, what I was doing, and all of that. And that do not seem like it's going to be a year now.
Seems like we say it all the time about, every year we always say, time flies, it flies. But this one really flew by. I can't believe it's about to be November. But I was saying that because I forget which chapter it was. We talked about those goals and just writing them down and making sure they're big enough. And I'm starting to write down some goals that seem crazy when you put them on paper. Like, yo, this is insane, bro. I ain't about to do it. But immediately stopping myself, like, nah, you about to do this. You about to get this knocked out. So I'm looking forward to that. We'll talk about that in the few coming weeks, just about goal setting, resetting, getting ready for the new year. Because you shouldn't have to wait until the week before. But Spike, you said you had some breaking
real quick
news.
on that before we get to it, to go with that time, because I talked to my uncle that lives here in Georgia this week, and he was telling me like we don't talk a lot. It's my mom's brother, and he was talking to her, and I hopped in the car. He heard me. He's like, let me holler at him. He just asked me what I've been up to and stuff, and he was like, man, he was talking about something. He was like, bro, I'm 66 years old, bro. He's like, how did you turn this? And I told him. He was like, man, it seemed like yesterday I was that age, bro. And I just say that to say is what he telling me. Just take advantage of every opportunity, my nigga. Because you're gonna look up and you're gonna be 66. And I was like, nigga, it felt like this year, like 66 was around the corner, like how fast the shit been going. So it really made me think. And when you were saying that, like, it should do not slow down, it do not stop. Like, it's only gonna get faster.
I mean, Hov said it on Volume 3, man. Life is short, then you on life support. So in between it all, I'm gonna say I did it all. Like, that's just life is short, and then you on life support. Like,
support. That's great Hov quote.
It's just
great
man. Hov bar for everything. But
Facts.
I think I have a feeling of what this breaking news is. And I'm curious to know if it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it right before we started recording.
So for those who have not heard yet or don't know the details, Young Thug took a plea deal. He did plead guilty to what they were charging him with. Some of the charges, some of them he pleaded no contest. But in that guilty plea, they worked out a deal where he is going to, he gets time credit served for the 5 years, and he's on 15 years of probation. But he get to go home. Like, he get to walk out, I think, within the next couple of weeks after they process and do everything that they need to do. So this is pretty much over for him, as long as he don't get in trouble. So I want to know, just hear your perspective on the whole case, what you thought was going to happen versus what did happen now that we actually have results, and even a little bit if you had something to say about Dirk and your perspective on that, because we talked about it a little on deck, but this is kind of a different platform where we can dive more into different stuff. So those are the two that I'm tying in as far as the conversations that we have here in the news and wanting to see. I'm really interested in your thoughts on it.
I ain't gonna hold you, man. The Thug trial became such a shit show that I couldn't keep up with everything that was going on. Longest trial in United States history. It seemed like they were fishing. It just seemed that my assumption, and I'm saying assumption because I have not read much information about it. My assumption is that they were just grasping at straws and trying to make a big case. I don't know. Was that Fani that did this?
Yeah, Fani did this.
Okay, then. So
this and the Trump shit, both of them fell through.
I know she did.
I mean, her name is on the ballot. I went to go vote today. It wasn't on my ballot because I'm not in that county, but her name is definitely still on the ballot. So she's probably still going to win. But
I meant to say that because I saw you did. I meant to say that for our beginning and pleasantries. I voted this past weekend as well. Listen,
nice.
In and out. By the time you hear this Friday, I was in and out. What? Election Day is Tuesday. If you haven't, please do it. I know we talked a little bit about some of the stuff that's going on last week, and President Obama and the way he's talking to people. Like, please go out there and vote. I know I said, I wouldn't be upset if my car stopped on the way, but it is important. That was kind of a tongue in cheek. Like, please go out there and vote, man. It's crunch time and it's getting spookier. No pun intended with Halloween. It's getting spookier every single day. Protect your mental health during this time because it's just a wild time. And who knows? I feel like 2016 and 2020, like, you have this uneasiness about the after effect of what's going on. So just want to take a quick PSA to make sure everybody goes out there and vote before Tuesday if you can, and not make sure you stand in those lines. But as far as the Young Thug stuff goes, so I saw that he has 15 years probation. He can't, hold on, man. Actually, let me pull this up because I saw Elliott Wilson post this, and it was just a good reminder or good informative post about what actually is going on with his conditions of his release and what actually happened. So it looks like, from what I can see, Young Thug is banned from Metro Atlanta.
Yep.
He has to do 4 presentations or concerts a year against gang violence. He can travel for work or to make music. No contact with gang members or co-defendants except for his brother and Gunna. And I'm assuming this because they work for him. And then cannot promote gangs in any way. The one thing I did not see, and I feel like I heard people say this was conditional for the probation, he had to admit YSL was a gang. Is that correct?
I think so. I'm not 100% sure, but I got to dig into like the post-trial stuff, but I'm not 100% sure. I think that's part of it, though. Because that's what they put him on trial for. Like, he was on trial for it being an ongoing criminal activity gang. So, pleading guilty to that,
Rico in the hole. So without seeing much information and doing the deep dive on it, what I'm interested in, and I say this respectfully, and I hope the brother stays out, man, but 15 years is a long time for somebody who's embedded in the life to walk a straight and narrow. It's a long time to walk a straight and narrow, and I'm concerned. And I'm not even in Atlanta. I'm not even in Georgia, but I already know, like, it's popping down there. So to be banned from Metro Atlanta, where's he going to be? Like, what is Metro Atlanta? How far does that go out? Is that Gwinnett County? Does that reach all the way to Savannah? Like, how far out is Metro Atlanta?
Maybe a 25, 30-mile radius.
Okay,
like,
so all the way,
it's gonna be
like, nigga can't even get some. He can't even get wing. He can't even get the lemon pepper in Magic City if he wanted to.
It's essentially just downtown. So like that's essentially the downtown area, the east side, parts of Bankhead, going up towards north.
What about Buckhead? Is Buckhead considered that?
That's Metro Atlanta.
Okay.
So no Buckhead. I mean, I see what you're saying. I do. And I thought we were talking about this in the group chat. And what I told them niggas is, listen, man, if I have as much money as Thug and I escape this by the hair of my chin, I would go to the studio, I would go to my house, and I would go to shows. Anything else other than that, nigga, you got to pry me out of that. There's just no other reason. Like, I want my food delivered. Yeah, that's me. You right.
Type of nigga. And that's the type of nigga.
That's true. But that's what he was debating on, whether he should take this deal. He was going to let the trial keep going. And it's like what you said, some niggas just can't turn it off. And I'm wondering, is he gonna be that type of nigga? Bro, when I tell you I would be like Wallow if I was Young Thug, that would be my blueprint of moving forward. I'm gonna do motivational speaking. I ain't necessarily got to change the music because I was just on trial for this shit. Y'all niggas know what I'm about. So I can still rap the same shit. I can still be in that vein, maybe a little bit more positive and motivational and less like messy. But in the sense of me having to change my whole style, I don't think that he's going to have to do that. But if I got 15 years of probation, bro, you know how hard it would be to get me out of the house. Like, everything that's going to happen is going to happen here in a controlled environment. I ain't saying that I wouldn't enjoy myself and party, but nigga, the party is always going to come. I wouldn't even risk it. The party is always going to come to me. I see what you're saying, and you're right, but yeah.
Yeah, no, and I got faith in him. And see, here's the issue when it comes to things like this, and this ties into everything that's going on with Dirk. It's never the person who's, facing the charges. It's the people around you. That's what he has to be extremely careful about. Like, bro, I can't even be around you for these next 15 because I know how you get. Like, everybody has someone that certain points of your life, and I'm not saying people can't grow and mature, but if somebody around you, and like, if I go out with this person, I know what might end up happening tonight. Niggas might have to get active. Like, I ain't got time for that. I ain't trying to do that. I'm gonna chill in the house. I don't know if he has that. I don't know if he'll be able to keep people, especially people that's been holding him down while he's been going through this trial. You've been holding me down, and now I got to say, I got to turn my back on you. Now, I can't be around because I know how you get down. Like, it's like when they talk about the judge asking Jay-Z to be responsible for Beanie Siegel, and nigga said no. And I remember Choke No Joke was talking about, he said, man, listen, if you was around, you understand why. Like, Beans got busy. Like, Beans up here, he everything he rapping about, the Max and them guns and them nine, he got them. He toured up everywhere. Like, he gets busy. Like, there's a good chance nigga, that he's gonna do some shit that's gonna land him right back in jail. And sometimes I think you have to be aware of your surroundings, man. That's one thing my pops always used to teach me growing up, man. Guilty by association. Like, I know you a good kid. Like, I understand that. But sometimes it's the people you hang with, and you so blind to it because you cool with them that you're not understanding that they're jeopardizing your shit too.
Facts, because
that's my concern. Yeah, that's my concern.
Here's the pushback that I would have on the Jay-Z thing, because I heard somebody say this later and I never really thought about it. Because I always agree, like you said, like, I'm not being responsible for this nigga, but they was like, well, they wasn't asking Hov to go to jail. Like, even if the nigga did fuck up, so like, what? It may cost me some money, maybe. I got money, so it did make me look at Hov in sort of way when someone broke it down that way. I can't remember. It may have been Dame that said that.
So here's the thing. And I
it wasn't contingent on me being locked up or being put on trial and anything. Like, okay, yeah, cool. I'll sign him out. Oh, fuck it.
I listen, I agree with you 100%. I want to make sure I say that first. First and foremost, I agree with you. There's no way I can let my mans, and especially when our whole brand is La Familia. Like, there's no way I can let my mans go like that. But what I think was happening, and this goes into, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, we had that conversation about sometimes we have to realize that people are more than one thing. They've grown out of what we know them for, and now they're on to something else. What I would assume is he was looking at it from the stance of, I'm about to be this business. I'm about to be an entity myself. Like, all these brands and all these partnerships and all that, I'm not trying to scare none of them away. Point. And I think that's, like I said,
he was doing the Magic Johnson meme.
Yeah, I ain't gonna be here, bro. It's a choice, right? So I'm not saying that Jay was cool for that or that was a cool move, but I understand that he was looking at it at a different angle. He was probably like, you know what? I don't even want to get associated with this because I got millions and millions and millions on the table from these different deals, and I'm just trying to keep it cool. And I'm really trying to build this brand and build this empire. It seems crazy. Hov's been talking about being a billionaire for a long time, but he just reached it a few years ago. I remember when Hov was, I was about to say only worth like some small money, but I remember when Hov was 180 million, 200 million, 300 million. And to see, you know what I mean? So I think his whole goal, I think his goal was to, and I think that's why he didn't do it. Like I said, I'm not excusing it.
I'm on my own mission. I'm on my own personal journey, and that don't line up with it. And it may come off as, you don't fuck with me or me being this, that, and the third, but still, I got these goals that I want to reach. Like you said, he was talking about being a billionaire for the longest. And it's, now that I say that, it makes sense what you're saying. Like, I don't get the NFL deal or Rock Nation, or I don't get tied in with Tidal and all of these power broker moves that he made if Benny Siegel kills somebody when he out under my release. Like, when he out and I'm supposed to be the one, and that's always going to be tied to me. And you have brands. Okay, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
Now, on the flip side, you can't be responsible for another grown person, but I would like to think, and I know that he's smart enough to have a plan in action. I don't care if it's 24/7 supervision. I don't care if I got to hire somebody to be around you at all times that's going to notify me of your every move, bro. Like, if you out, because it's not just about me and my brand, but it's also the brotherhood. Because I'm thinking about it from my friends, right? If I had a friend who's really going through it and they needed me to step up and say, I'm going to be responsible for this person when they out, I don't think I can look them in their face and say, nah, man, they got it. Like, they're going to figure it out. I would go ahead and take care of it. But here's the law. And you don't have a choice in this. Like, this is what it is. Like, I have no problem going back to court and saying, nigga, nah, you know what, Judge? I was wrong. You know what? He does need some time. He does need to rehabilitate. So yeah, it's a tricky
there's
thing.
There's a difference between friends and like coworkers and associates. And I think that's one of the biggest things that when you see these breakups and these fallouts. Yeah, exactly. You see these breakups and these fallouts with people in the music industry or just in general. And it's like, well, were Dame and Jay ever really friends? Like, we may have been really close associates, but do you fuck with him like that? And the same thing for Beans. Like, you can have, I know, I'm sure you got people at work that you fuck with, but that ain't your friend. Like, we can go out, we can get beers, like, nigga, we can chill. Like, we may even be more cordial than that and talk on the phone or whatever it may be, but I still know, and you still know, like, that's not my friend. Like, when push comes to shove and I need something, you know, there's a certain people that you know get that from and believe it, people that believe that, you know. So
We'll put a pin in that. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later this episode. We'll put a pin in that for right now.
Facts.
But you mentioned Dirk as well.
Yeah. What'd you think about that?
So I think it was 8 days ago from the time we were recording.
Yeah.
Dirk and some associates ended up getting
his man's got out and found out. His man's got out and then found out that he had been wearing a wire over the last 2 years. And of course, they're going to use that against him. He's been indicted on murder for hire charges. The difference for people that are wondering with Thug's case and his case, the main difference is Thug was a state case. Yeah. Feds don't lose in court. They got a 98% conviction rate. So if they've made it this far,
unless they
got it, it's figured out. It's figured out already. And I was listening to a 50 interview on Breakfast Club, and it was crazy. Well, I listened to that Wallow clip because that, of course, was circulating when this came out. And 50 was talking about it. And 50 told this story. He was talking about this driver that he had that was come get him. Did you watch the 50 Breakfast Club interview?
No. I saw clips circulating, but I didn't watch the whole thing, which I normally do. So I like 50's a good interview.
I don't even watch Breakfast Club, but I had to do that because 50 a good interview. And right off the bat, he was talking. They asked him about Dirk, and 50 told this story. He was telling Dirk that he said, "I personally told Dirk that he need to watch the people in his camp because that's how they're going to get you." And then, of course, that's how it happened. And 50 told the story. He was like, "Bro, I had a driver, a nigga that was supposed to be like coming to get me and driving me from Vegas to Miami or some shit." He said some wild, like I don't even know how to fucking
driving from Vegas to Miami.
Man, listen to me. But the nigga, he was in Miami or Vegas, and he had to drive to where 50, he had to fly to where 50 was at and be his driver there. Okay, so I think that was it. It wasn't that yet. So as the nigga was getting on the plane, he had the strap with him at the airport. And he said, 50 said the lawyer called him in the middle of the night. He's like, such and such was boarding the plane. He had the strap with him. We need to send a lawyer. And 50 was like, well, we need to send a bondsman because this nigga got priors already. Ain't no lawyer finna help him now. The lawyer for after he get out. We need to send the nigga to get out. And then he said a little bit of time went by and the lawyer called him back and he was like, never mind, they let him on the plane. And 50 had this look on his face. Like, they let him on the plane.
You already know what it is.
Well, that don't even make sense. And not even in the sense he brought up a great point that most niggas won't pick up on. He was like, not even in the sense of, oh, they got him and they flipped him and now he's going to try to get something. This is on the sense of this nigga had to already be working with somebody for them to make a call and get him out and to still make the same flight. Nigga, you get caught with a strap in the airport and you still able to go through and make that flight and you had priors. I know you was already compromised. 50 said when the nigga got there, he said, he said, when that nigga got here, when I tell you I hopped in that car and I ain't say a word and never talked to him again, like that's just like that's little shit like that is what the generation, and to wrap it up, was what Dirk's generation I feel like is missing, like the instincts of it. And Dirk shouldn't be like that because his dad was in the game. Go ahead.
I was just about to say, for one, great observation by 50. Because you can't even, if you yell bomb, if you just yell bomb, say the word in the airport, you going to jail and 250,000 fine and whatever else comes with that. Have them in the strap, even if it's on the private plane, like, bruh, that's not, you automatically in some shit that you shouldn't be into, or you working with people you shouldn't. We've all seen enough good police shows to know what it looks like when the case is being built, who can get away with what. Part of the reason with the Dirk generation and this generation, I guess my generation, a little bit younger, I feel like the OGs ain't really been around, like helping them, or the OGs are helping them crash out. Like the OGs haven't matured. You know what I mean? I remember, take it back to Beans. I remember when Beans got into it like maybe 6-7 years ago when he had the whole Meek Mill thing. He got into the fight backstage, and I'm like, Beanie, why are you like, bro? You got a collapsed lung from being shot. Like, well, at what point are you just past this part of your life and you have to want to be the OG that just gives the people the game? Like, and I'm just thinking about this in real time. I don't know if it's because of entertainment or it doesn't have anything to do with entertainment. I think that it's hard for people to give up their prime. You know, what people should be doing is making a new prime, right? I don't want to I remember I never in my life thought I'd quote Jim Jones, but I remember on this he was on a Smoke DZA song called Tradition. And he said this word, he said this line where he says, I ain't saying the night ain't fun. I'm just saying I'm leaving the night for the young. So pretty much like I've done this. I've been here. I've done all of this before. Like, yes, it's fun. Yes, it's appealing. But I had my time. I had my run. It's like being an athlete, right? Like I did it all. Yeah. I left it all out there on the field. I left it all out there on the court. I can go home with no regrets saying I gave this sport everything I got. Now it's time for somebody else to take the mantle and just fly with it, right? It's the people that don't want to let go when it's time to let go and still want to poke their head into the business, because now it's a whole new game. It's a whole new generation. Like, so we should be gearing up to be like, all right, how can I help these new people? How can I help the younger generation and string them along? Or even look at 50. 50 said, all right, music, I did that. I don't have any interest. Now I'm going to go to TV. That's going to be my next quest. And it kind of goes back and ties into goal setting, right? If you don't have goals, if it's just kind of like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. I'm going to figure it out on man. That's a dangerous spot when you 45, 50. Talking about I'm just going to figure it out on nigga. Like, you can't. You got to have something else to do.
It's not it.
And I think that they talk about fame being a drug, and I think that's part of it. So I think if you have a lot of OGs that are quick to let their young kids crash out and do stuff. We talked about that with the PNB. Not we talked about it, but on deck, you and AB talked about with the PNB Rock. Like the fact that his dad like set his son up to crash out like that. That's disgusting. Sick. That's disgusting. Like that's sick, right? You should have been the one saying, "Bro, are you crazy? Like I'm not about to lose you, and we ain't about to take that man's life over some bullshit like this. I know it's a different culture, the whole nine." Blah, blah, blah. But I just feel like there's nobody that was, or it could just be the famous old age of when you're young, you feel like you know everything. There was a point in my life I felt like I knew everything. You couldn't tell me nothing. All right, man, whatever.
Facts. You can tell me nothing. Look back, when trying to hear that shit.
Now you look back and it's like, damn, I should have been paying attention. You know what I mean? So I think a little bit of that, but I don't know if it's a loyalty thing. I don't know if he felt like he owed these people things, but the biggest part to me is not only are you keeping the wrong people around you, but you also aren't helping yourself, man. When you're making songs and lyrics, and obviously this kind of ties into Young Thug, they're using your lyrics against you. And it feels like he's alluded to what happened, you know, sliding for Von and all this stuff without saying it. He said it. So you ain't trying to hide from it, because nobody likes they say the purest form of giving is anonymous, right? That's hard for a lot of people. It's hard to do something nice with someone that they don't know you're the one that did it. It's hard to get your lick back, and the person that you get your lick back on, or the people around you, don't know that I'm the one that set this up. I'm the one that, it's hard to really separate yourself and have that humility just to be like, you know, I'm going to let life sort things out. And I think that's a big part of it, right? The internet I've seen the internet back people in the corner and make them crash out just because people, are you going to let that slide? Like, bro, these are strangers. Fuck them niggas.
I don't even know this nigga. You know, the interesting part about the OG conversation is I agree somewhat. Like I do agree, and I understand what you're saying. However, when Wallow was talking to Dirk, one of the key parts of the clip, and what Wallow was telling him, he was like, man, a nigga killed my brother. My brother died in my grandmama's arms on our doorstep. And he was like, the hardest thing I've ever done in my life was having to like get over that shit, forgive it. Like I could have did something to those niggas and I'd either be dead or in jail as well. But I didn't. And since I didn't, I'm sitting right here with you now. And I built what I was able to build because I got over that shit. Now I know that's a hard thing to process, especially as a young nigga. But I do feel like, just like if you Dirk and you learn street shit, like you pick that up from your dad and the OGs, you learn how to rap, you have to have a reasonable amount of interest in being better. And an old head can't teach you that. That has to be in you. Like it got to be something that you got to be like, I'm getting money now. I can't do this. I'm getting money now. I'm not putting money on the ops' heads. And you can't just be like, okay, well, that's where we come from. That's what we do. That's our culture. Absolutely it is. But you also, as you're more successful in life, you learn new things. So you learn how to leave shit alone or walk away from stuff like you was talking about with Jim, like, or even us, like even on the smaller scale. Like I have no desire to be outside every night, even though it could be shit out there for me. But I have no desire to do that. But that was something that I learned from being outside every night and then getting older and being like, it's just too much. Like it's too risky or too like I don't have to whatever for it. And I say that to say there is some blame on the OGs, but there is some blame on Dirk as well for not doing what we talked about. You got to strive to want to do better and be better. And sometimes that consists of I can't hang around the same homies no more. I can answer the phone. We could chop it up. We could chill in the daytime. Y'all can come to the crib. But when it's come to, we got to get revenge for Dirk. We got to get revenge for Vaughn and these things. Sometimes you got to have had developed enough to where you're like, I can't do nothing, bro. Or you got to be smart enough to where I'm not doing it on the fucking company credit cards. I'm not doing it and then going to rap about it. I'm not doing it or getting the information from a nigga who posted Instagram and be like, yeah, I was the nigga that told Dirk where he was at. Like you have to have more like the instincts for this. That's why when niggas say the streets is dead, it ain't about snitching. I don't necessarily think some of it got to do with snitching. Some of it got to do with how the drugs is now, but mainly it's because niggas lack the instinct to be able to continue to move forward and do or run criminal enterprises and do what they do. And yeah, I mean, that's just something you can be taught it and niggas can tell you, but you got to pick up on that shit and do it shit yourself. So while I do my thoughts and prayers for the young brother Dirk, he made a lot of mistakes, and you're not afforded those type of mistakes as a young black rich man.
I'm glad you circled back to that because that is probably the most important part. This whole theme of book 2 is accountability. And Dirk's not 19. Dirk is 32 years old. Yeah. You know what I mean? Dirk is 32 years old. He a grown man. You know, you might have a little bit more sympathy because it's like this teenager man who didn't lead him. But you a grown man with 7 kids, bro. And a pops who was in this life. And you know how this should be played if you're gonna do it, man. But yeah, hopefully everything works out. But he's facing the death penalty. You know, I try to be mindful of that. When people do bad things, yeah, he potentially could have the death penalty. I know they're gonna take him back to California to face the charges, but yeah, when people do bad things like this, it's funny. Did you ever watch? I can't remember the name of the dude on YouTube who did it, but it was like a 4-hour King Von.
Trap Lord Ross. Trap
Is that his name?
Yeah, I just looked that shit up today because I seen somebody else
watch that.
I was like, let me check.
Did you ever watch it?
Bro, I pulled up the page today to look at it, and I was like, let me check a couple of these out. And I seen the length that all of them were like 2 hours to 4 hours. And I was like, I'm not watching something. And then I seen what the nigga looked like. I was like, hell no, bro. I felt some type of way about it, to be honest with you.
No, as you should. But I will say it was about 3 years ago when I watched the King Von one. And what happened was I was at work and needed something to just occupy the time. And I started playing it, and it was just like, hold up. And it's one of those things, once you start it, it's interesting. So work's over. I'm like, I'm about to finish this at the crib. Mm-hmm. And you find yourself, you see him as a human, right? And it's kind of, I don't know, it's a weird dynamic of, it's almost like, I don't want to say rooting for the bad guy because you're not doing that, but you still understand this as a human being and they were talented, but you also look at it like, hold on, bro, like, I don't care how likable he might be. Like, this nigga he was a fucking demon. Like, he was a demon. Like, he was just not a good. So, like, when people be on the internet, and I don't like playing with people to death, and people like, you know, young Von looking down, and people like, nah, he looking up. Like, young King Von is like, he was a menace. He was a menace. But I say all that to say, when you do bad shit like that, man, you just kind of got to let it go. Like, all right, man, that's just that dude got to deal with the consequences. If you had a murder for hire, because and I get it, causing like you said, at some point it's got to stop. You got to get your Vito Corleone on. You got to meet with the 5 families and say, listen, I lost a son, you lost a son. We got to dead this right now because otherwise it's gonna go tit for tat forever. You know what I mean? So
yep. And who wins in that scenario? Especially if I'm getting money. That's the thing about it. Where people don't want to add that in there with the Young Thug thing. With this, I'm getting money. Like, that's more important than me getting revenge. Like, it just is because my family can't eat revenge, bro. Like my son or 8 kids that I have coming up, they ain't gonna be like, at least my dad slid on his ops. Like what, nigga?
Man, what's
I'm in the
Dirk name?
position to
Girl
make
name? India?
generational money.
What's his girl name? India?
Who? Thug?
Dirks. Not Dirk girl.
Yeah,
Ari,
yeah.
India. Hey
India, that's
man.
it.
Hey man, listen. You know, I ain't leaving. I ain't bro. I ain't going nowhere. I'm
Right.
cool. I'm good.
Nowhere. I want to go home to that. I want to
Yeah,
go home to that.
exactly. Long story short, man, hopefully everybody, and I'm sure this audience, we don't have to deal with that. But, you know, if you know someone, man, if you're in a position to be a responsible OG, mentor, whoever, step up and do that, man. If you see somebody about to really make a mistake, man, you never know how far it will take them if you just step up and give your advice. And at that point, it's up to them if they want to listen or not. They might not, and they might want to just go ahead and do something else, but it is what it is. So, yeah. So, yeah, man, you over there cheesing, man.
I was laughing because so I got the game plan in the background, right? And these niggas do these weekly pick polls. And when you're supposed to have them in by 9:00 on Wednesday. And I just shot the nigga the picture with the picks, hoping I could slide it in. He was like, nigga, you joking, right?
That's what yeah, man. That's right, man. I love people like that. But
I was like, I had to give it a try, man.
What I will say is, as we go on to the next topic, man, prayers to the families and those affected by the innocent people who are involved in that stuff. Who, like I said, kids who losing their dad, you know, wives who losing their husbands, mothers who's losing their sons, because that's something that they're gonna have to deal with, and that trauma they have to go through as well, even though somebody else made a bad mistake and a bad decision. So that's who I really, you know, empathize and sympathize with during this process, man. But as you always say, Spike, man, he plays stupid games, he wins stupid prizes. That's just kind of what it is, man. Yep. That's kind of what it is.
I wonder how this happens. This didn't happen I know we'll get into it real. This didn't happen as much. I want to say during our generation to our rappers and stuff. I wonder how this affects the younger generations and the kids. I heard them talking about this on Joe Budden's. I thought it was interesting. When I was outside, niggas respected niggas with money. Like if you had motion or money like that, you was the nigga that was you was the big dog. Nowadays, I've heard and what the young niggas say, it's the nigga that got the bodies. And I was like, crazy. Bro, when we was outside, like if a nigga killed somebody, you may have suspected it, but you didn't know. Like when nigga wasn't running around, like I got 8 bodies and this, that, and the third, and people was giving him respect for it. It was like, I don't know about Buddy, man. He might, you know what I'm saying? He might have some other shit going on. You might just keep your eye out.
It was more shit
like that, but now, yeah,
I think social media,
and that's what I was leading to. It's the Trap Lord Rosses. It's all of these fucking sites that are dedicated to telling these stories and making it entertainment versus, nah, this is real life, bro. And it's getting really twisted in the sense of what the young niggas look up to and respect. And it's gonna be hard to pull them out of that trance, I think.
Yeah, man. Generation, we got to figure it out. Hopefully so, sooner rather than later. But it's a crazy time. It's a scary time.
Facts.
I was about to say, hey, what's going on here? Yeah, you have a topic that you wanted to bring up. You've been kind of circling for a couple of weeks and say you wanted to have the talk. I think you mentioned it on chapter 5, and you said it on air just so you didn't lose the thought. I want to go ahead and let you introduce that, man, and introduce the conversation. Let's roll with it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So all of this kind of leads up to it that we've talked about, and that conversation is, you know, showing up as your true self, and who can you show up as your true self to? Like we wear all of these different faces, and we act these different ways for different people just based off the relationships that we have with them. So I wanted to base this conversation and see where you were at with it, as far as like, where do you feel with all of those faces that you wear, which one is the most comfortable for you? And do you get to wear that most comfortable face as much as you like to? Like people can say however much they want, oh, I'm the same person everywhere I go. Like, unless you got a lot of fucking money, that's not true. Like there are going to be places, whether it be work and you code switch a little bit, whether it's the bank and you're trying to go in and get a loan for your business, whether it's your homeboys, your mom, you at school, wherever the fuck it is, it's a slight variation because you think that that's what the audience is looking for. And we don't live every moment of our lives for ourselves. So the person that tries to lie and say, well, I show up as unapologetically as possible everywhere I am. Yeah, you may, but there's still some variance to that face and your most comfortable face. So I really wanted to just hash out a conversation about that. When are those faces necessary? Do you think it's a good or a bad thing that we do those things? Is it necessary? And which ones are most comfortable to you?
No, that's 1,000% a thing. There are variations of who we are. And I think all of them can be true selves, right? I think you can have 4 different versions of who you are. You just kind of master who you want to show. What version of yourself are you showing people? In what room? If you work in corporate America, I'm not podcast me in corporate America. And I don't even want to say podcast me because I think that's me. I feel like this space is where I'm naturally myself. Yeah, I don't try to.
That still ain't you hanging with the homies either, though. Like podcast, you still ain't you. We sitting here, ain't no cameras on. I may say some wild shit. Like,
yeah, that's fair.
Even on a podcast, there's a filter. Like, because there's been times when I've been sitting doing podcast, I was like, well, I could say something right now. They'll probably cancel me.
I'm thinking about Mo, and he always. I do that all the time when we're recording Mo, and I be like, you know what? Never mind. He's like, nah, say it. And I'm like, nah, I'm cool, bro. I'm cool. So no, you're absolutely right. That's a great point. That is a great point. This is probably 90% of me, and because there's those disgusting, filthy thoughts and shit that like that. Like, man, please, Lord, please don't ever let the group chat get hacked because it's over. It's over. It's over.
Facts.
Like ain't even no point in explaining yourself. Like, what did you mean? Nope. Ain't even no point. Some of the stuff I say, and so, I feel like I'm my truest.
Hey, one of my homies, real quick, you spoke to the group chat. One of my homies put some of the most incriminating shit, and I'll say it. It's vague, so I can say it, but I almost wanted to delete it when the Puff shit came out.
See,
it was like this nigga shot the group chat, and it's just 4 of us in this group chat, and we like ride. This is the you know what I'm saying. This is the 4. That's the brain trust. And the nigga said, nobody responded either because the nigga said, man, I'm glad they didn't have no tapes when we was out moving around.
Hey man, there's a lot of people that say that.
Oh man, I was like, bro, why would you even say that? Like we know, man, you gotta put it in the text, bro.
I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't even remember them times, man. That was a long time ago.
I probably wasn't that time.
So yeah, I think it starts with the fam, but more particularly like school. Isaiah, who was on chapter 2, that's something we always joke, man. Like we always say, man, we can never fall out because one of us got to go because we know where all the bodies at. We know where all the bodies at, all the dirt. Like there's things in this world that only he knows, and vice versa, right? I got friends from elementary school that I'm still close with, like my brother Good, Donovan. You can put Phil in that category. Phil for sure, because I talk to Phil every day. Like, so, and it kind of goes back to that conversation we had earlier about who's friends and who's associates. I say the past couple of years, I had to start separating people, and it doesn't mean any issue. It just means like, all right, these are my genuine friends, and these are people I'm cool with. I don't even like the term like I know. So there are a lot of times you forget, and this goes back to what you said about time moving so fast. Like I've been out of high school they planning our 20th year reunion, right? So that means I've started high school 24 years ago. And there's people will run up to you and say, do you know them? Right? And there's people you went
to high school.
What year
did you graduate?
2005. 2005. And it just happened because when I was back home, I was with Good. And Good took a picture with some people we went to school with. And so somebody reached out and was like, hey man, you know them? Like such. There was something going on with one of the people in that picture. And it was like, man, I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? We went to school together, blah. And it was just funny because that's how you got to look at it. Like, I don't know. I had to start changing. I don't know them. I went to school with them. Like, I have no idea what they've been up to for the past 20 years. Like, I have no idea. So I know who they are. Like, but I do not know them. I knew them once upon a time, but I have no idea who they are. So you have to start separating people in that sense. And, you know, Rachel, of course.
How long have you known Rachel?
I've known Rachel since I was 18. So almost 20 years, 19 years. And Rachel's like one of those. Our relationship is so low maintenance. Like it's the perfect friend because but it fits both of us. Like we know when to check in on each other. We know when to good because we do this all. So we talk often because we record together. But also, since we are friends, we make sure that it's not just about recording because I don't want it to be a kind of like what we alluded to earlier. When you look at Jay and Dame, like, damn, were y'all ever really cool, or did y'all just happen to fall into a situation that worked for both of y'all? And that's not the case with me and Rachel. Like me and Rachel, that's my dog. Like I want the best for Rachel. I'll ride out for Rachel. So I've known her for 19 years. I was going to Phil because Phil, I talk to him every day, and that's once again, if those group chats and those messages get like it's filthy. Some of that shit is filthy. Like I'm ashamed of some of the shit that we be going on. But it's life, man. But there's a certain level of comfort where take the jokes out of it, right? Take the jokes and all that shit out of it. But just the opportunity for when somebody is going through something or somebody has something on their brain and they really just need to vent and let it out. That trust level of being in that circle or being that person for someone else, I think that's like one of the best compliments I can personally have, that someone would trust me enough to bring their struggles and, hey man, I need help with this, and the vulnerability to me. I think that's your truest self, right? And that's why I mentioned like Goody and Goody and Donovan and Brian, just because there are moments when you can just sit around and like, man, listen, this is what's going on, man. I'm kind of fucked up. I got Nate, Ralph, John. I got a lot of people that honestly, I've been blessed with a lot of good friends to where I can just be my true, authentic self to. For me, it's more so about am I choosing to be that? And what really was interesting this past weekend is, like I said, you notice I have not said like my mom, I haven't said my sister, because I came to the realization, and I was talking to my mom about this, and I'm like, Mom, I grew up. She was asking me like my childhood, like just did I enjoy my childhood? Because we were talking about her and my sister. She had my sister at a young age, and we're just kind of talking about the differences. And I was asking her about her childhood, and she flipped it on me like, "What about you? Do you feel like we provided a good childhood?" I'm like, "Absolutely." Like, but the one thing that I wish I could do differently was I felt like I had certain people had expectations of me, and I hated disappointing people. You know what I mean? I hated disappointing people, and
that's where we share personality, another personality trait.
Yeah, I hate disappointing people, and that's a flaw. Like that's you're not giving yourself grace to be human. You're gonna make mistakes, and that's fine. But for some reason, I felt like everything I did had to be perfect, or there's certain things that would happen. Like I remember when I went to jail, and it was like one of those things like I couldn't tell my mom because it's like that's not who she raised. But my mom loved me unconditionally. It would never be no issue if all right, man, that's happening. It's life. Here's what you got to do, and you're gonna bounce back from it. It ain't gonna change nothing. But I felt bad that I wasn't able to have that open and honest, like, listen, man, I'm really struggling. I messed up. This is what's going on. It was more so like, damn, man, like that's not who she raised. I'm not gonna be that person. I don't want to disappoint you. You know what I mean? I don't want to put any stress on you. Or how you worried about me? Because I'm good. Trust me, I'm good. But this is what's going on. And I had to come to terms with that, and I admitted it to her. And she's like, yeah, I can see that. Like I can definitely see that just from things that happen in your childhood and just certain moments where I'm just like, why wouldn't he just? Because I've always been pegged as I've always been labeled as I don't want to say secretive because that actually pisses me off when people sound secretive.
I hate that sneaky. Like people try to put that shit on me, and that's one of my buttons. Oh, you sneaky, or you're like nah. It's just
someone I care about a lot, and I won't say who they are. Someone once said like sometimes it feels like you live a double life, and when I say that shit pissed me off to the fucking moon, because I'm like I ain't got shit to hide. This is more so what do you need to know? Like Jadakiss said, man, I tell you what I want you to know. Fuck what you ask me.
I'm just not an overshare. Like a lot of people, they overshare. And I'm sitting and I'm listening to them like, I can't believe you just told me that I'm not even that cool with you. Like I'll be listening to a motherfucker talk at work or just talk in general. And I'll be like, why are you telling me this, bro? And then they'll ask you some person. And you're like I'll give you an example. Like everything that you were saying was spot on. And I have a story about the mom in the jail situation too. But my mom's husband, I was chilling with her son, or his youngest son when I went back to Nashville. And he's moving in a new house, so I helped him move a couple things in. And on the ride, it's about a 10-minute ride. He asked me about my previous relationship. He was like, "Oh, whatever happened to old girl? Oh, you guys gonna work it out, or like did something like just prying?" And when I tell you, Rich, like I haven't even had that conversations with niggas that I've known for 20 and 30 years. None of them have asked me about it because they know me. Like it ain't really nothing to talk about. If it was something to tell you, I'd tell you. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
But he was like, "Oh, really? And so you think you guys will get like, bro, what the fuck are you asking me about right now?" And that's his personality. That's him. But it goes into what we're talking about in a sense. Now it's like understanding who you. I think me and you have a great personality trait, and I can understand who I'm talking to. I can understand what I need to tell you in order for you to feel comfortable in this interaction, even though I'm not as comfortable, or I'm not sharing with you as much as I would. I'm not sharing with you, period. Like I'm gonna let you know what you need to know, and that's it, and we can move on from it. And I'm frank and upfront enough to be like, that's it. Like you ain't gonna keep prying. We can move on. I know how to have a conversation. We can move on to the next topic where you're not gonna keep prying on this. So I thought that was interesting. One, and the two part, what you said about it, like that was one of the hardest phone calls that I've ever had to make is when I went to jail. And I had to tell my mom that she was out of town on a fucking cruise. I think I've said that before on the show. Like she was away, like in Jamaica or some shit. And that was the thing.
Damn,
the main
That's
thing.
rough.
It was like we sitting there for 8 days, bro. It was like, but that was the thing that you hear the disappointment, and you hear the like, who is this person? Where did this person come from? Because I don't really know you like that. Yeah. And I think when my mom first, this was after the jail center. We can talk about that at one point in time and what happened and everything. It's a really good story. But I used to work at my mom's husband corner store. And this was maybe around, before I moved to Atlanta, this was maybe 16, 17 years ago. And the corner store is right up the street from HBCU, TSU, and right smack dab in the middle of the hood. And at this point in time, I may be 27, 25, something like that. And people used to come in there, like you say, to the corner store. They come in there for swishes, cigarettes, beer, Black and Milds, play the lottery, shit like that. And my mom would sit over there and she would work sometimes, and she would sit over there and chill sometime while I was working. But she was always so surprised at the rapport that I would have with the customers or the people that would come in there and that knew me. And because she judging them just based off the car they pulled up in, pants they got on, they smelling like weed or whatever it may be. Because remember, I'm just making a stop at the store if I'm that person. But they'll come in there and they know me. "Oh, what you doing, my boy?" Like some such and they who knows where they know me from. But it was so surprising to her. She was like, "How do you know all of these people?" I'm like, "Mama, like this, I've been outside since I was 14 years old. Like I know these people." And it was just so shocking to her. But it go to what you say. You show what you need to show to the people who you feel like should see it. And it don't go beyond that. I love my mom and I'm open with her. We have great conversations now, but it's still one of the things that if I could change, like what you were saying, I would spend more time with her at a younger age. Because that's when I was outside doing shit that like now I spend a lot of time with her. We talk and chill and can just be in each other's presence. But that rarely happened growing up from maybe 10 to 21, 22, 23. Like I was outside. And that being said, she viewed that, she seen that, she like, who the fuck is this nigga? I don't really even know him. So I thought that was interesting.
I remember when you discussed that on chapter 1, and I remember how much or book 1, should I say? And I remember how much I related to that because I can understand that mindset of, I never forget this. Man. This is funny. School laugh about this shit all the time. I remember I was dating this girl, and she was at the crib. Like we was over my mom's crib, right? And I remember we were sitting there talking, and I don't remember what we were talking about, how this even brought up, but she mentioned, like in front of my girl, like, didn't you get beat up once and such and such? I said, huh? Yeah, she said it like it wasn't no malice. Like it was just I don't even know what we were talking about.
Who said that? Wait, who said that?
My mom.
Your mom said it?
Yeah. Like we were talking about, because mind you, the girl I was dating, we didn't date in high school. We dated much later after that as full adults, but we went to high school together.
Yeah.
So she knew all the people that we was talking about. Like I said, I can't remember the exact conversation, but I do remember her saying something about. And I remember my girl looked over my girl. She's over to get weak because she knows me, and she know it wasn't true. And I said, Mom, where you get that from? She said, Nah, I heard y'all got. I said, Yeah, we got in a fight, but what are you talking about getting beat up? Like, when did you? I said, Mom, I said, because this would have happened when I was in high school. I was about 16 when this happened, right? And I literally looked at her. I said, Mom, I said, I've lived with you that entire time. I said, when have you ever seen me just come in the house lumped up? Like, you would remember that, wouldn't you? She was like, I guess you got a point. I said, I don't like, why would you think? And it was one of those things where I'm like, who do you think I am? It was almost like that Walter White.
Who you think you're talking to?
Walter White.
I'm the one who knocked,
moment. Nigga. Yeah, like, what do you think? Like, what do you think? And I know she didn't mean harm about it, so it's funny to laugh about. But there was another time I remember, Cass was making jokes and cracking jokes online or something. And I remember, I think she told my sister, like, I don't know. It seems like they trying to jump. I'm like, what? Like, we joking? Like, this is jokes. Like, I don't know who you think. Do you think I'm soft? Like, what is it? And I remember I brought this up to her once, and I just asked her, and she was just like, "Nah, you just such a good kid. Like, you were such a nice kid." I'm like, "Yeah, but that's the version of you that you got. Like, I'm respectful in front of you.
That's what you wanted me to be, and I wanted to impress you as mom. So that's what I was to you.
Yes, and I never forget. I'll never forget a moment. And it's funny, you put it together when you're older. You don't pay attention at the time. Had to be about 17, 18, right? And I had Verizon. And I remember there was something going on with my phone. It was like the third time my phone was tripping. And me and my mom was up at Verizon. It was something going on. And dude was trying to get me to run around. And listen, bro, we ain't doing this. I'm telling you exactly what's about to happen right now. And I laid it out for him. And I remember telling my dad about it, and she was like, I bet your mom was like shocked by that. I'm like, what you mean? She was like, I don't know. I think she thinks that you just some like mild mannered, like quiet kid. I'm like, nah, man. Like, and that was one of those moments she knew. I remember I had a cousin that was talking crazy once, and I had to check him because he was saying something about moms, and like those moments when she started hearing stories about me and shit that I was doing, and she was like, oh, I ain't know. Like, but I also took it as, well, that's on me because I didn't open up that part to you either. And now as an adult, as somebody who's 37, I can look at it and, we can have those conversations. Like, we had a great conversation and just talking about certain things, even with weed. Like, so even with smoking weed, like, she knows I smoke weed, but it's not something we ever talked about. And I never forget. Thanks. I'll never forget. So when I moved back to Cincinnati from Toledo, I stayed with my mom and her husband. And the way the house was set up, the upstairs was like its own little mini apartment, right? It didn't have a bathroom, but it had, space for a bed. There was like a little chair in there. I could just chill. Like, I didn't have to come down except for to eat, use the bathroom, or whatever. And what I would do is there's a window, and at night I would roll up.
You pull the jacks.
I pull the jacks. I pull the jacks. Open up the window, roll up. Had a fan right there blowing the smoke out. I'm playing the game, doing whatever. And nobody ever came up there because there was nothing up there to come up for.
Right.
Mask the smell and all that. So it was never an issue. And I remember my mom was like, hey, I'm about to go to Aunt Jennifer's, man. Like, all right, cool. I'll come with you. Remember, we got in the car. Well, I had the TV on. I was playing the game, but I didn't turn the TV off. And I had the fan still set up. It wasn't on, but it was just set up. The setup was there. Right. So I remember we go to my Aunt Jennifer's and we coming back, and I remember my mom get a phone call, and I could just tell something was up on the other end. And she got out the phone, and you could tell her mood changed a little bit. She got out the phone, she looked at me and said, "You been smoking up there?" I said, "What?" And I guess it was dark, and my mom's husband at that time was mowing the lawn, and he saw the light coming from that window. He was like, "Damn, is there a fire going on up there? Like, what's going on?" So he went up there. And he saw the setup and smelled a little bit of the smell. And I was like, this nigga been smoking up here. But then nothing came of it. And that was just one of those things. Nothing came from it. It was just more so. Obviously, he was salty. He was upset. And I get it as a man. Like, don't disrespect my house or whatever. But it was just one of those things. Like, for some reason, I tried to hide the imperfections of myself.
Facts.
From the people that love me the most.
Facts.
But
especially
the
for
irony,
moms, because
the irony is that's the one person you can show all your imperfections to, and that's not the love is never going to change.
Still gonna love you. They still gonna love you, bro. And yet, still, because of the personalities that we have, you still try to hide them because you want to impress them. Like I still to this day, like there are things that I'll do or so. Like when I sent the podcast to mom, dude, like me, you, and what's my man name, the financial guy that we had.
Lawrence.
I can't think. Lawrence. When I sent the podcast to her about him, like it always surprises her for some reason because the podcast, me and like just being around my family, me is totally different. I let them talk. I will chime in and I'll give my input, but I don't lead conversations amongst my family. I just don't. I won't say I don't feel like that's my place, but it's not anything that I've ever done. So I ain't just start doing it now because I do podcasts and whatever. And let's have this conversation and talk about that. I just don't do it. So they're always taken aback by when they'll hear me on these platforms that they've came to see me live before. They're like, you're just such a different person. And it's like, I don't have to do that around y'all. Like my family is loud, bro. Like my family, they niggas. Like they niggas, like all of them, like damn near everybody, like got the ratchet in them. But I've never really been like that around them.
Yeah.
Because they got that. They can be that. And so I've never been the loud person. They know me as quiet, reserved, or whatever it may be. So they see me on these platforms talking, yelling, whatever it may be about sports. And it's like, damn, I've never seen you do that. I've been knowing you your whole life. Yeah, but it's like you said, you show people what you feel like they need from you. And sometimes it's draining. Sometimes you are in a place where, and I think that goes to what we were talking about earlier, where you having conversations where you don't want to answer we're not having conversation, where in those places where you don't want to answer the phone or I don't feel like doing this, is because our personalities more so, you and I, it's more so I'm going to give you what you're looking for when you call or talk to me. I'm not going to dominate the conversation. I'm not going to say, oh yeah, that's crazy that happened to you, but check this out, what happened to me. Like most of the time when I'm on the phone, when I'm like just having conversations with people, I'm responding. Like I'm not leading or carrying the conversations, which is like why a lot of times I don't call people. I don't feel like I have a lot to say in the sense of just on a personal level. And that's where we get that. That's where we get that. Like people think, oh, you secretive or you sneaky. Like I agree with you. Like that's an insult to me. Like when people say that to me, especially when women say that, I hate when they say that. It's because, well, if you were asking the right questions, I promise you would know everything that you're looking to know. Like you have to, in order to get me talking, one of the biggest differences, and this goes to showing up as well, like it has to be stuff that I'm interested in. And a lot of the times people just are not talking about stuff that I give a fuck about. I don't care. So then what makes that even worse is they'll try to cater the conversation. Like my ex used to do this. My mom does this now. People do this that know I do podcasts now. Like I'll be, what you think about the Dirk situation? It's like, what do you mean what I think about? Like what why are you asking me this? Like I don't even want to talk about this with you. Well, motherfucker be like, well, what y'all talking about on the podcast this week? Brother, the show drops Wednesday. Like that's the reason that I do it, not to have the pre-conversation with you about everything that we're going to talk about, but you can go tap into it. You know that I do it. You know what I talk about. You want to hear what I think, then come tune in. But people do that to people like me and you is because I ain't really got a lot. Like I ain't really just trying to have random conversations. Unless it's like I like talking and having conversations with people where I'm being enlightened or they're getting something from it from me. Like there really is no in between in that for me. That's why like me and Dro will talk on the phone maybe once or twice a month, but it's always purposeful conversation. Yeah. Like me and Scoops, we talk a little bit more than that, but there's more. Like I've been knowing him since I was 12 years old, so it's not ingenuine when he and I are talking about like our interests. Like he'll call and tell me about his football. We listen to the same sports talk show every day. We'll talk about that. His son's football team, excuse me. Or we have the same sports show that we listen to on a daily basis. We'll talk about those things. It's not a forced conversation. Like a lot of people that I feel like that you wear those masks with, the conversations are forced because you feel like, and what I get from them is, oh, you're trying to figure something out for me, and you don't have to do it this way. Like you can just be genuine and natural. And I would rather sit in silence than have a forced conversation.
Nah, that's a fact. That's a fact. It's funny. I agree with everything you said because I can relate to all of it. Even you talk about your family and that family time, and I go back to the conversation I had with my mom because I'm like, I cuss. Like I don't cuss around my mom just because she don't cuss.
Rarely.
And I'm just not. Yeah, it's like it's a respect thing more than anything. It's not me trying to not be myself. It's more so I respect you. I know you don't do this, so I'm not going to do it. Right? I'm not going to do it around you, even though this is a part of me. I'm not hiding the fact that it's part of me, but I'm also acknowledging that I'm not doing it. Do you ever feel like you were? Because I never feel like I'm being someone else other than myself. I just feel like there's different layers and versions. Do you ever feel like you ever had to be like, oh, this ain't me? Like, because I've never felt that. And it can get tricky because the way we're talking and having this conversation, someone might interpret it as, well, you got an on and off switch. I'm like, nah, I just know how to move in the crowd that I'm in. You know what I mean? And I never feel like I'm being less than myself. Like I never want to feel like because of the group I'm with that I don't ever want to feel like I'm code switching, even though code switching is a thing and it happens, is necessary from time to time, but it's still the most authentic version of myself. It's more so I'm not going to be the fool. We talked about this a little bit when we talked about the when we were having a reasonable doubt conversation on here a few weeks ago, where Morris Chestnut character, like all right, the white partners want to go have these drinks. I don't feel like doing that, but I also know I need to play the game, so I'm gonna bring them to my spot. So this isn't my normal setting where I would invite somebody like you out, but if we do, I'm gonna make myself as comfortable as possible. We can go from there. And you see it; it's just kind of instilled in us. But do you ever feel like you are being untrue to yourself whenever you have to do things that you don't necessarily think you would do normally, or with the truest friends that you have?
I don't, especially not with the truest friends. Like most of my truest friends, I've been knowing them long enough. We know each other long enough. We can damn near say what they thinking or gonna say, like especially if it's some fucked up shit. Because again, we've been around each other forever, so never there. What I will say is in like corporate America, like there's levels. I won't say not being me, but there are levels to me, and certain people get certain levels. I've been in positions where I'm in corporate America and I'm managing a team of 30 to 40 people. And there's just a certain face, or I won't even say front. There's a certain presentation that you have to have in order for them to follow you or respect what you're doing. And it can't be like that last level that my friends and the people that know me the best know. It can't be that, because they have to have some semblance of respect, or I feel like mystique about you, where there's consequences if they fuck up. Like that still has to be there. So you can only go so far as how well they know you or how much of yourself you can act like. But still, even with that being said, it's authentic enough to where people can pick up on the type of person that you are, especially in those corporate places. And they kind of deal with that in a sense of, they try to get to know you, they try to pry, but they see, you know how to have conversation and don't have to give them too much, to where it never feels fake. To answer your question, if I'm anywhere where I feel like I have to be fake or I can't be me, I just shut down. I'm quiet. I'm looking at my phone. I'm ready to go, because I don't want to be here. I don't want to be in any place where I can't be genuinely myself. So anytime that I'm clocked out and not paying attention, or I'm not engaged and the conversation is going on in their room, is because it's something in here that's not allowing me to let people in. And I'm cool with that. I don't have to be friends with everybody. I don't care if a lot of people know me or are comfortable who I am. And that go back to what we talked about as far as the content creation. Like I'm like not doing the videos and not doing the different things. Like I'm fine with that, but I'm not fine with not enough people knowing about this great product and these great things that we do. So it's a gift and a curse that comes with that. Like, well, you don't have to do it, but you got to do something to where more people are going to realize, understand, and tap into what you do. And that's the struggle with doing this and having the type of personalities that both you and I have.
That's real. That's real. I think that I'm appreciative for all the people that I have in my life, all the people that I can be my authentic, true self. I
It's
think the
just so
biggest thing
comfortable.
is still trying to. You said what?
I said it's just so comfortable when that's like when I was at
Yeah,
you was with your mom this weekend. I was at home this weekend when you can just like be. It ain't got to be
yeah.
nothing extra. I can just sit here and be quiet. I can let them talk and still enjoy it. I can say some crazy shit because everybody in this motherfucker crazy. It don't matter. I can just be. And like you said, those are the
And
most
that's part of
satisfying
it.
relationships.
And I know you appreciate this because you've been going from home. Going home is so comforting to me now
Oh man,
because
what
if I was in the city, I might not have had that conversation with moms. It'd just be like more the
facts?
same. But like I know this time, and it's a mindset, right? Because the time is always limited. We never know what's going on. But I know I'm here for pretty much 24 hours, right? So I'm gonna have this time. We
Mhm.
got meaningful conversation. We have a good time at this game, the whole nine. Leave them, pull up on my boys, Donovan and Goody, right? Goody a 49ers fan, Donovan a Cowboys fan. They played Sunday night. Like just pulling up and just having natural, just being yourself, like you said, just be. Like it's no effort.
Yeah.
We've been doing this since we was 9 years old. Like it's nothing, there's really nothing to even think about. We can just be ourselves and the whole nine and have the conversation we need to have and just be open and honest about things. And it's just a wonderful feeling. The biggest part for me that I'm learning, and I guess this will be a good place for me to kind of land it, is navigating relationships and opening up more, showing more of this natural state of who I am, and really not giving a fuck. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Because for some reason, I
Facts.
think when I was younger, I didn't want to. I just talked about the respect thing, right? With moms. Well, moms is moms. Not everybody moms, man. Fuck y'all. This is who
Facts.
I am,
Exactly.
and that's what it is. Because here's what it is,
Exactly.
Spike. Everything I do is genuine. Like, I'm not some dickhead that's just running around trying to irritate or get under your skin. Like if I do something or I say something a certain way, you can trust and believe it wasn't to irritate you. If it's something that you don't rock with, that's cool. I can respect that, but I didn't do it for that. And if I know I'm not doing it to be malicious, then I don't care how you perceive me or how you accept that. And life has taught me I can pretty much hang in any room with any person. Like I've
Yep.
always been that way, even since high school. At high school, I could have sat at any lunch table I wanted to and had it and be cool. Like any lunch
Same.
table. You know what I mean? It just so happened I sat at the one that other people wanted to sit at. You know what I mean?
Facts.
That's just
That was
that's
such
just
a
what it
funny thing.
is. But I do want
That
to.
was
I
such a
do want to
funny
make sure.
thing.
I do want to. Like my thing right now is navigating and making sure that people. Because I think you also get a certain point in your life where you just don't even have time for that shit. It's just like this is who I am. This is me, and I don't want to sit there and try to mask who I am or make you feel a certain way. Nah, this is me. I guarantee. Well, not guarantee, but I'm pretty sure you're gonna fuck with me, like as I am, and we just do it
If
like
you
that.
don't,
And
that's
most
cool.
importantly, yeah. And if you don't, that's
And if
cool.
you don't, that's fine. Like, that's fine.
And most importantly, Spike, separating who this information is for. Not this version of me ain't for everybody. And what I mean for that is I don't mean that everybody can accept it. I mean, I literally do not want to, I don't need to open up to every single person. Right. You share, and I think we talked about it briefly, especially when you talk about social media and making these videos. I share so much with people through different outlets that there are things that I want to keep to myself. There are like I think it's cool that there's a group of people in this world who are going to experience a version of me that no one else is ever going to experience, right? Because they
Mhm.
put in the time or whatever it is. I think there's something cool about that. I don't think everybody should get the same version of you because I feel like it makes that time with them or makes them feel like they're more special because they are, right? And that might be a form of me just trying to show you how special you are because nobody else is getting this version of me. Nobody else is ever going to get these intricate thoughts and these feelings and this vulnerability. I can open it up 75% to a lot of people, but the full 100, that's only reserved for a few people. You know what I mean? And I think that's dope because if I flipped it, and I know I talked about it earlier, one of the biggest compliments is when someone's vulnerable with you or they're open with you and they can share. They trust you enough to bring whatever it is going on in their life to you. And I think that I don't take that for granted. And I think that's a big compliment is how they view me and what role I play in their life. And I want to kind of give the same back. Um, but also just be myself, man. Just not really care. But that's it's layers. And I think I've said this a couple times. There could be another conversation about this. I would love to have someone else on here maybe continue this conversation and maybe look at things from a different standpoint. But yeah, I appreciate that.
No, I agree with that 100%. Like I appreciate people, and that was one of the things, like you said, we can wrap on, and I wanted to end with too. I appreciate people getting different versions of me. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with a motherfucker being like, oh, that ain't who you are around me, like, because that ain't who we are. So I really have no issue with that being, and me not being for everybody at this stage in my life. Like getting older, wanting to accomplish the things that I want to accomplish, wanting to do the things that I want to do. Everybody can't be a part of that, and that's fine. And that don't mean there's no hard feelings about it. It don't mean that I don't fuck with you in that sense. It's just we're headed in a different direction, and in order for me to be headed in this direction, this is the map that I need to get there. And sometimes like that just don't everybody don't qualify for it. So I appreciate the people that do qualify for it and the people that don't and don't have any issue with like, oh man, like we don't like it's cool, bro. Like I have no ill will towards anyone. And the last thing, one of the most important things is you said, like there is no malice in my intent. And that's one of I know that I can hang my hat on that, just like what you said. I'm not aiming to ever, because I don't feel like I need to. I'm not being malicious towards anybody in what I do. So even if I am wearing a different hat or not letting you in or not sharing as much, it's not in a sense of being having malice. It's in a sense of I have a clear idea of who I am and what I want to be looked at as. And I know I can't, in some cases, you can't really, I can't tell you how you should see me, but I can act in an according manner as to where if you looking at me a certain way, you either hating or you just don't know me. But if you do know me, then you get it. And I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that.
Fair. Absolutely, man. Like you said, it's exhausting, man. It's exhausting to try to be everything for everybody. So I agree with that 100%. That's it. You got anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
Nah, man, solid conversation, man. We're gonna keep having them, keep rolling. Chapter 10 next week, man. We might have to plan something special, a good conversation, maybe have some people on. We'll see how the week plays out and what we can plan up. But 10 chapters in, man, I'm still enjoying this. Y'all give us feedback. Go rate, subscribe, like, do all the things that make podcasts popular. Tell a friend. Let them know what you're listening to. Make sure we get the word out here on this, and we'll do our jobs on this end and keep giving you good content and trying to create some buzz on social media by doing some stuff too. Me and Rich gonna figure out some skits and shit to do. And we'll go from there.
We gotta figure something out.
I think that fits our personality more than sitting there talking on the phone, like a written out skit, like office style. We was in the same city, it'd be a lot easier. But some shit that we can just figure out with some skits and stuff, I think that'll get some traction going too. So we'll work on those for you guys. But make sure y'all send us the emails, awitb2022@gmail.com. Rate, subscribe, like, comment on Instagram. Another Week in the Books.
Another Week in the Books on the Instagram page. Nope, just Another Week in the Books. I do want to say this too. So
all those good things.
I haven't talked to you about this. Every 10 chapters, I think we should take a week break in between. And I only say that because we do so much. And we always talk about accountability, and I think that's important. However, your birthday's November 26th. So instead of taking a break, we're just going to take that break. It's Thanksgiving week. It's going to be a natural time to take a break. So we're going to go a little bit longer. But I think every 10 weeks, as long as there's no like big holiday or big event, something that will kind of require us to be off anyway, I think we're going to take a week just to make sure we stress the importance of slowing down, appreciating the small things in life, even if it's just one day, right? I know people look at it and say, well, Spike do 10 things. Rich, you do 6 things. Well, you have no idea how much one day can really just impact your week, just to say, all right, I can turn my brain off and don't feel the responsibility of having to do something. So I think that's going to be important. Like I said, we're going to take that Thanksgiving week off because it's Spike's birthday and it's Thanksgiving week. But just know, for all of you out there listening, and YouTube's back up. It's back up and running. We got everything going. Producer School is still going on. Shout out to Mo. So I promise, man, the content will be there. We're working on it, man. We getting it there. It's on the goals list. I promise you. But other than that, man,
is it easier? Is that easier or harder than you thought it would be?
Which part?
Producing, like learning the shit that Mo teach you.
the stuff that Mo is teaching is it's the repetition. It's hard. It's I won't say it's harder, but it's definitely not as plug and play as I thought it would be. Like
Tedious.
Mo was
It's
talking to
very
me
tedious.
like when we. Well, here's the thing, and Mo said this perfectly. Once you have your shit set, it's gonna be easy. Like you know the routine and you know how everything's supposed to be sampled. But when you're not familiar with that world, whole new ball game. I'm on the phone with Mo. We FaceTime, and he's showing me. I'm showing him his screen, and he's showing me his, and he's talking about 3 different settings and have your vocals stacked. I'm like, bro, I have no idea. And it didn't help that I was on my way to do something. Like I thought this was going to be something like, hey, quick program, 30, 45-minute talk. I had an hour really, and it was going to take more than that. So part of my mind was also like, I can't even sit here and get the full attention. So I'm like, all right, let's go ahead and reschedule this so I can get a little bit have a little bit more dedicated time. And you also want to be mindful of his time because he got kids, and like I ain't trying to take up your weekend time when you can be helping your wife out with other things. And but right. Yeah, it's definitely different, man. But once I get it, it's gonna be cool. It's gonna go a long way. So yeah, man, I'm excited. And also, man, shout out to you, Spike, man. Shout out to you because you were somebody that, once again, man, I promise we gonna put a moratorium on speaking about how similar me and Spike are. We're gonna have like a 3-week moratorium. But in all seriousness, from day one, even before I met you and just heard you on Good Earners, man, that's just always that natural just chemistry and just kind of like, I know this person. Like me and this person we've definitely shared the same life experiences. And we have the same brand and we think the same way, man. So when we talk about authenticity and being your true self, I always feel like that. And it's funny because there's times when we'll be recording Good Earners with Mo, and me and you will just look at each other virtually.
We'll look at each other.
And just know exactly what each other thinking, man. And I think that goes a long way. And I know we always talk about it. I'll never fall short of giving incredible people their flowers, man. So you were also, along with Mo, 2 people where I can just and Mo, I want to give him his flowers too, because Mo is so open and he pours so much out that you kind of don't have a choice. Like if you in a conversation, if you choose to get on the phone with Mo, like you'll find yourself in a good conversation. Like, and it just naturally flows out like that because that's just how he is. He brings it out of you. So both of you, man, to have that relationship with each one of you and to be able to do something. I would never be able to do something like this if it wasn't with someone I trusted or I feel like I could be my authentic self, or I felt like you were going to take offense to something I said or whatever the case. I'd be like, all right, man, fuck it. This ain't even worth the time. But I appreciate you just for being you, man. That's real.
Yep. Thank you. I appreciate that. And the feeling's mutual, vice versa. I know to give you and Mo your flowers before we end, it's just, you guys have given me a lot more confidence in this space. Like to hear what you guys say and how some people may perceive me in this space when I just have my head down and just doing the work. Sometimes it's like, damn, I appreciate that. Like, really does. And that makes you want to go even harder and make sure that this stuff that we do and together and even outside of what we do together is successful, and that we all can make a solid, be in a place that we want to be from doing this very, very soon.
Absolutely. We getting there, man. Yep. So Bookworms, we appreciate y'all. We'll be back next week for chapter 10. Spike and myself will work on something. If you have any ideas or something you want to hear us talk about, please, by all means, shoot it over to us. Be more than happy to have those conversations. Yeah, a lot of big things planned. We just getting started with this thing. So until next week, make sure you go out and vote. Protect your mental health. It's going to be I'm telling y'all right now, it's going to be a crazy week. It's going to be a crazy weekend, crazy week. Protect yourself, man. Make sure you're good, and we'll see y'all next week. Peace.